The National Prosecuting Authority head, Advocate Shamila Batohi, says a global trend of criminal networks using people in government to further their illicit agenda is prevalent in South Africa. The National Director of Public Prosecutions delivered the keynote address at the Countering Transnational Organized Crime in Africa conference this morning. Newzroom Afrika's Erin is in attendance and joins us from the Rand Park Golf Club. Erin, good morning to you. Advocate Batohi opening the conference, and she touched on grey listing. We have been grey listed.
We have indeed, Chloe. I've left my golf tees behind for this transnational crime conference on the dynamics of criminal networks across the continent. And as you say, National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Batohi, addressing the Financial Action Task Force decision from Friday to demote and greylist South Africa. There she raised the fact that in her view, nothing was done and law enforcement was neglected during some 15 years before President Cyril Ramaphosa's election as head of state. Of course, he appointed her head of the NPA, and she says that progress has not been fast enough, but the NPA is hard at work in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies, both locally and further afield, and indeed the Financial Intelligence Center, to crack down on global crime syndicates. And she's also emphasized that there is a global trend of these syndicates knowing how law enforcement agencies operate and then accruing the assistance of people within inside government. There in her speech, her keynote address, Chloe, she raised some international research which shows that this isn't just a local trend, it's a global trend.
Erin, because of time constraints, I'm keen to know what she told you, because you had the opportunity to talk to her one-on-one during one of the breaks. What exactly did she tell you?
Well, of course, Chloe, having sat through weeks of criminal trial proceedings in the ID's premier state capture case to reach the trial stage, I was interested to know her views on the Nulane Investments 25 million rand case. This, of course, is the case through which the state is seeking the extradition of two Gupta brothers, Atul and Rajesh Tony Gupta. Batohi is seemingly expressing some frustration at the commentary around the nature of the cross-examination. Of course, cross-examination is by nature quite histrionic at times, you could say, and she's emphasized the point not only in regards to this matter, but in regards to the work of the NPA overall, that actions speak louder than words, even words in a court during criminal proceedings. Chloe, during her speech, in fact, she also touched on the need for integrity within the NPA and other state institutions. Let's just have a quick listen to what she had to say.
If they want their businesses to succeed, they have to make sure that those that pose a threat to it are dealt with. How do we deal with those? You corrupt people. There's a lot of money. You corrupt law enforcement, including the prosecuting authority. You corrupt politicians. You corrupt people that make your business difficult. And sadly, there's a lot of money out there. So it's really important for us. How do we as individuals actually ensure that we have people of the highest standards of integrity in these fields that are able to withstand the massive temptation of corruption?
Erin Bates, some strong statements coming from her, but many people, in particular ordinary South Africans, still look to her to provide leadership when it comes to our country's prosecution services. Yes, some elements within there. She says she has been rooting out those elements that she speaks about who could be corrupted or have been corrupted. But what's she doing about it?
Well, Xoli, if you're talking about people within state, how about the very head of state, President Cyril Ramaphosa? Of course, Batohi has faced a grilling over whether or not the NPA has been investigating the Phala Phala saga, and breaking news in this morning confirmed by Vuyo Zungula of the ATM, the African Transformation Movement in Parliament, that opposition party, that the Constitutional Court, the Apex Court, has dismissed the President's application to challenge the Section 89 independent panel report into Phala Phala. Now, you may remember this all came to a head toward the end of last year in the build-up to the ANC's elective conference. The President challenged the report and its findings. It was retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngobo and colleagues who looked into the Phala Phala matter only based on paper submissions from a number of players. And the President went to the Constitutional Court aggrieved by that report's findings and the work of the panel. Now, this announcement by Zungula, which includes the communique from the very Apex Court on its decision to dismiss the President's application, makes a couple of things clear. The first, Xoli, is that the court has declined to order any costs against the President or the respondents, that is the panelists, and then Zungula himself. And the court has also said that it disagrees with the President in terms of his argument around exclusive jurisdiction. In simple terms, what that means is that the President went to the Apex Court because he believed that the Apex Court, the Constitutional Court, the very highest court in the country, was the only forum, the only court equipped to hear and canvass and ventilate the issues at play at the Section 89 panel report challenge. The court has found against that argument and has dismissed the President's application without costs. But it's not over for the President. If he really wants to drive this legal challenge, he could still seek to do so through the lower courts in the country.
Very, very interesting indeed, that breaking news from our colleague Erin Bates. Well, trying to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. She has been covering the NPA head, and on the other, some news coming out of the Constitutional Court. All right.